All right, guys, beard advice series time. Yes, it is. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Brian Haywood here. Welcome back to my Beards and Banjos YouTube channel, where we discuss tips and tricks for your beards. We do some product reviews, some unboxings, and we have a special beard advice series where you guys can send in some pictures to me to the email address below, a little information about what advice you're seeking. I take a look at that for a little while. Right now, the backup's almost a month. We're at 3 to 4 weeks. I'm trying to put out 2 a week. But then you guys get featured in your own beard advice series video like we're doing today. And today we've got Joey. Joey's a great member of the bearded community. Goes by Joey Hookem. So if you've been part of the live streams and on Instagram and kind of in the community, you'll see him with positive comments and always having a good time. He's an easygoing guy, great to chat with. And yes, he's got that great, glorious beard. Man, we've got some good beards in here lately. So if you get that hashtag beard envy, maybe that's what we've got today on this beard. But if you take a look at it, nice beard, right? If you look at his haircut, it's kind of got short on the sides, a little bit longer on the top. Great look. He said he's ready for a bit of a trim. Okay, so he said his wife likes it really short. He likes it long. Most of what I'm going to suggest is kind of in between. So hopefully we can make somebody happy along the way. But we're going to talk about kind of the differences between having a more square front to it, more of a ledge, if you will, and then having it more rounded. And then we'll also kind of talk about the options here on the back line, if you will, about how low or high you might want that on your neck. All right, so let's take a look at his mustache there. He's been growing out his mustache a little bit. He's got it kind of short in the middle and then longer on the ends. He's been playing around with that a little bit. So keep playing around with that. I'm not going to give you tons of mustache advice right now because I want to kind of see where your beard ends up. And that'll kind of drive how your mustache might look. But I'll show you some options in a couple of these pictures coming up. So let's take a look at maybe kind of the longest length I've got picked out. I've got a couple that are kind of a little bit longer and then several that are kind of the medium length, like a little bit longer than mine. So if you take a look at this first one, once again, if you notice the hair, it's kind of like what you've got. I've noticed on one picture that I've seen of you, you kind of have kind of the just about down to a skin fade and longer on top. So once you get your beard like you want it, you'll see that most of these that I'm suggesting for you kind of have that hairstyle that you've got. So what we're going to do is kind of suggest to kind of get a more defined shape to it. I think if you kind of get it a little bit shorter, get it off of your chest, have some nice shape to it, I think that'll really kind of polish up your look, and then that'll match that hairstyle that you've got currently. So I'm not going to really suggest doing a lot of changes with your hairstyle or mustache even until you kind of figure out where the beard shape wants to land. So if you take a look at this picture, very nice length to it, just off of his chest. I'm sure if he put his head down, he could get it down there. But notice the front of that one is kind of like mine. It's pretty straight down and then a pretty sharp dividing line. So you've got options there about how round for that to be. And it's kind of the sharper it is, kind of the more severe look. But Joey's got that kind of easygoing personality. So I think maybe a little bit more rounded. Mine's kind of in between on mine. So it's a little bit round and a little bit kind of flat on the sides. Okay. But if you take a look at this next picture, and the interesting thing about this one, it's got kind of the before and after. And the guy's length was about like what Joey had, and then he shortened it up. So I think that would kind of be a great length for you. If you take a look at the shape, it's a little bit more rounded right there in the front. So it's got a nice shape to it. It's got some lines to it with the shape, but it also has it's a little bit more muted with the rounding to it. And I think that would really look good for you. So you have to let me know how you like that and what the wife thinks. And then the other part's figuring out how to do that. I don't know if you usually trim your beard or you have somebody do it or not, but it's always a bit of an adventure when you go, when you take off lots of length. It's always kind of a little nerve-wracking. Don't be afraid to take off a little bit of length, guys, or don't be afraid to trim your beards. I trim mine every 3 weeks and it's still growing length if you go back and look at it. So there's ways, you just have to know where to take the hair off. And every time I've done even a big major massive cut, 2 weeks later, I'm already starting to kind of think that I've grown into it and I'm starting to look at see what to do next. So little food for thought there. Don't be so worried about taking off some length. It grows back. It's not like your head hair and you go bald. You don't go bald on your face. Once it's there, it's there. All right. So you can just keep growing it out. And when you do grow back out, you'll find it's kind of like going to a new place that you've never been before. You're looking at the directions and thinking, man, this is taking forever to get there. And then when you drive back from that place, or if you drive to it again and you know where you're going, it doesn't seem like it takes any time at all. All right, so it's kind of like that with growing your beard out the second time. You got a lot more experience. All right, so let's see what else we can come up with. Okay, so this next one is another one that's kind of a little bit of a longer style, but unlike that first picture that was really severe, sharp ledge on the front, this is a little bit more rounded and curved. All right, so you've got a couple of options there. And then the next option to think about is how far down you want this back to go. All right, because you can have the same length on the front, but it's going to look drastically different if you kind of keep it full towards the back, towards your neck, or if you angle it up. All right, so I want to show you that on a couple of pictures where the length's pretty much the same, but the beard's got a totally different shape if you round it up this way or have it go further up. Basically, you go establish your neckline like you do when you're growing it out. You can establish that neckline and then have it look more like this instead of full like that. So you got some options. So let's take a look at a couple of those. So here's a nice kind of medium length one, and it's got a little bit of the roundness to it in front. This guy's cheek line kind of does that little dip down on it quite a bit. I noticed that Joey had that on some of his older pictures. I definitely like the higher cheek line that you've got right now. But there's an option. And if you look at this next guy, he's kind of got the full box, kind of like I've got right now. You can kind of see what that looks like. But if you take a look at, maybe this is kind of the more severe, just to show you the drastic difference on kind of having the longer length in front, but in the back, you just kind of change this line. It drastically changes the shape and also changes how easy it is to manage. These wings can get kind of difficult, especially if you're wearing collared shirts, that kind of thing. So the summertime, I actually grow my beard longer in the summertime than I do in the wintertime, because the wintertime you're wearing the big coats. Okay, but if that's aggravating you, then you just kind of establish your neckline a little bit higher, and then there's a lot less to worry about. There's also kind of the hybrid, which I do a lot, is to not leave it boxy down here, kind of have it higher and then kind of swoop it down and have more an arc to it. All right, but I think that that medium length is going to look really good. Just kind of take that off your chest and kind of get some kind of shape to it. And to me, I think a little bit more the round in front than just a flat ledge is going to work better for you. All right, and then your mustache. Let's go back to that first guy. He's kind of got a hybrid mustache. You know, mine, I'm growing it out all the way from the middle, which is really aggravating. But if you look at this guy, he's got the ends to it, and he's got some growth here. Okay, but right in the middle, he's got quite a bit of clearance. So if you're going to kind of stick with growing out a little bit more, this might be a good option for you. I would call that kind of a hybrid mustache. You've got maybe an inch across there in the middle where you've got everything cleaned out, and then some of this up here to let that grow. So not just the tails, but a little bit more meat in the middle, and you kind of have it coming out and play around with it. I'm still new at playing around with this mustache as well. All right, so there are some options for Joey. He did mention that, I asked him about does he blow dry and you know, some about his normal routine stuff. He's doing all the stuff he's supposed to. He says he's got to get up really early in the morning, so he showers at night, and then he's got to be quiet, not to wake up the rest of the household, because they'll be really mad at him. So he doesn't run the hair dryer and that kind of stuff in the mornings. I've found that I can actually get away with not taking a shower, not going through that whole routine with the hair dryer here lately. I've just been using the butter at night. I'm kind of newer to butters, and I can actually get up in the morning, comb my beard out, put some beard balm on, and I'm ready to go. which is totally different than before I was doing lots of co-washing and using beard butters. I'd get up in the morning and it would be totally out of whack. I could comb it and that kind of stuff. It really just wouldn't help. I'd have to either jump in the shower or get my beard wet, go through the whole routine with the blow dryer. So I don't know if that works for you or not. And if it works now, then it may not after you trim your beard up, because once it's not just kind of natural, then you do have to kind of worry about getting things in line a little bit more. But I'd be interested to see where you go with that. So please let me know where you go with that. Send me some pictures. By the way, I have been in contact with all of these guys after the fact. And I think about every 3 months, so maybe 4 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, I'll do kind of a follow-up episode and just show you some of the guys before and after pictures and kind of what they look like currently. A lot of them have taken some of the advice I've given them here and there, bits and pieces. And it doesn't really bother me if they don't take the advice. It's kind of food for thought for them, but it's also food for thought for everybody. So hopefully you're at least thinking about it. Just kind of you're aware of different styles, different things you can try, all of that. So hopefully it's helping and you're enjoying the series. I know I'm enjoying the series. I'm learning so much. Guys, I never thought 2 months ago that I'd be like giving hairstyle advice and saying, oh yeah, you should go with this undercut. We're all learning stuff. So I hope you guys are as well. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.